Hello everyone, I'm William, 24 years old. My upbringing wasn't a fairy tale, particularly in the context of my relationship with my father, Mark. If I had to describe our connection in one word, it would be toxic. We used to be close, but everything changed after he divorced my mom, leaving us in financial ruin. It felt like abandonment, as if I were just an afterthought in his pursuit of a new life filled with women, cars, and whatever else bachelors indulge in. Post-divorce, my mom, Janet, and I faced hardships, transitioning from a comfortable life to fluctuating between stability and struggling to make ends meet. Witnessing my mom working tirelessly to provide for us was tough. However, she never lost hope, diligently working to improve our situation. Against all odds, she succeeded, transforming a small business into a successful company, propelling us from barely getting by to a life of comfort. Despite this success, life took a cruel turn. Just as things were falling into place, my mom fell ill. Her illness was a devastating blow, turning our lives upside down. Despite our efforts, she passed away, leaving an irreplaceable void. As her only child, I had to navigate the aftermath alone. In grief, I discovered that she had left her house to me, a final gift symbolizing our shared love and the life we built together. Stepping into that house, now mine, felt like stepping into her embrace, a place filled with laughter, tears, and precious memories. However, the sting came from the absence of Mark and his new wife, Cynthia, at my mom's funeral. Their callous indifference fueled a burning anger within me, questioning how they could be so heartless as if my mom had never mattered to them at all. How could my father overlook the profound impact of everything on me? Months had passed, yet the wound from my mom's absence remained raw. I sought solace in memories and the support of friends, but bitterness persisted. The house she gave me, though beautiful, was tainted with bittersweet nostalgia. Attempting to rehabilitate myself in the process of home learning, I aimed to coexist peacefully with haunting memories, slowly making this new house my own. Progress was being made day by day, at least to some extent. Suddenly, Mark appeared at my doorstep, catching me off guard. It had been months since my mom's funeral, and he boldly stepped into my life as if there were no past events. As I opened the door, our eyes locked, a hint of surprise evident in his expression as he likely observed the pain and resentment on my face. His attempted smile wavered, and an awkward silence enveloped us, burdened by the weight of unspoken sentiments. Beneath the surface, my anger and disappointment simmered, threatening to overflow, until he nervously uttered, "Hey, William, can we talk?" I gazed at Mark, his presence in my home stirring a whirlwind of emotions. However, his apologetic tone felt insincere, and I saw through his feeble attempts to mend the gap that had widened between us over the years. "Save the performance, Mark. I'm not falling for your hollow apologies. You abandoned us, leaving us to struggle while you lived a life of luxury, and now you have the audacity to show up here as if nothing transpired." Mark's face flushed with anger, shifting from guilt to a defensive stance. "William, it's imperative that you display a modicum of respect," I scoffed in response. Respect, in my opinion, was not a given but something to be earned, and he had forfeited all claim to it the day he abandoned our family to fulfill his desires. "Respect is earned, Mark. It cannot be demanded, especially considering the pain you've inflicted. Your choice to prioritize your selfish needs over family has consequences." As our tense exchange unfolded, a familiar figure emerged from the street where his car was parked. Cynthia. Stepping out of a luxurious car emanating opulence, she only intensified my resentment. Her presence reminded me of how my father consistently chose a life of extravagance over the well-being of his flesh and blood. As she reached the doorstep, I couldn't help but express my discontent. "And what brings you here, Cynthia? You both couldn't even muster the decency to attend my mom's funeral, yet here you are now, huh?" "We were busy. We had our commitments, William," she weakly explained, further infuriating me. Busy and other commitments were feeble justifications for their absence at my mom's funeral, revealing their disregard for her memory and our family. Anger and frustration surged as they stood before me, unchanged and self-absorbed, flaunting their wealth all around town. Their presence in my house, pretending as if nothing had happened, fueled the resentment within me. Finally, I confronted them, questioning their intentions and expressing the pain they had caused. "What the hell do you two want from me? Haven't you caused me enough pain?" "William, we need to talk. Things aren't as glamorous for us as they seem on social media. We're struggling, even to the point of selling that Aston Martin outside just to scrape together some money for something very important." Cynthia, previously silent, nervously removed her coat, revealing a protruding belly, indicating she was possibly 4 months pregnant. Shock and rage coursed through me, unable to comprehend the revelation. Are you telling me that you impregnated someone young enough to be my sister? What kind of sick joke is this? You're way too old for such irresponsible behavior, Mark. Fighting back, Mark unleashed a series of hurtful remarks, hitting below the belt and leaving me stunned. It was incomprehensible how my father could be so callous, treating me as if I were some naive child. You believe I'm just like you. That's why I distanced myself from you and your mother. I couldn't tolerate being around someone as foolish as you. Worthless, hopeless, and useless. I haven't done anything wrong or illegal, so keep your mouth shut. Even onlookers seemed to disapprove of the verbal abuse I endured. I stood there, struggling to grasp that this man had spoken to me this way in my own home. Leave immediately. Excuse me. Vacate the premises before I involve law enforcement. Get off my property. That's precisely why we're here. What do you mean? I've come to the decision that I must ask you to leave this house, William. It's the only option. If I wasn't already furious, I was now seething with rage. Cynthia regarded me as if she had come face to face with a rabid animal, holding her belly protectively. You're a fool, Mark. This house was bequeathed to me by my mother, the woman you abandoned. Do you think you can just stroll in and take it away, over my dead body? You believe you're entitled to this house? Think again, William. We're evicting you because we need a larger and more suitable space for our expanding family. What about that absurd condo you live in, huh? Come on, William. You know that was no place to raise a child. Besides, we have to downsize due to the financial troubles your father mentioned. This blue Suburban is perfect for us, right within budget and ideal for raising a growing family. We won't be as lavish, but we'll lead a comfortable life. His words felt like daggers, piercing deep into my wounded heart. The audacity of his plan, and the notion of him displacing me for a new family fueled the flames of anger within me. How could he want to play house now after abandoning us just a couple of years ago? He's insane. You believe I'll simply walk away, leaving my name on the deed of this car, as this house is legally mine and you can't strip it away. Are you certain about that, William? You underestimate my connections. I happen to be acquainted with the county clerk. We play golf together, you know. A mere phone call and your name on that title deed could mysteriously vanish. The audacity of his threat sent a surge of anger coursing through my veins. How dare he exploit his connections to manipulate the system and deprive me of what rightfully belongs to me? Are you prepared to descend to such depths, resorting to corrupt practices to wrestle this house away from me? You're no different from an ordinary criminal. The strength of my voice propelled my words with a force that pushed them back, compelling the culprits to confront the consequences of their actions. Momentarily taken aback by the sheer intensity of my anger, they stood there, bewildered. However, as the reality of their defeat began to dawn on them, their demeanor underwent a significant shift. Mark and Cynthia exchanged uneasy glances, revealing a hint of fear. They now understood they had underestimated my determination to safeguard what rightfully belonged to me and my mother. Summoning a final surge of courage, I raised my voice with every ounce of strength remaining, demanding their immediate departure from my property. Their faces drained of color, and eventually they spun on their heels, retreating from the house they had audaciously attempted to claim. Despite Mark's fear, he persisted in attempting to intimidate me, outlining all the ways he intended to ruin me. You'll regret not cooperating, William. I attempted to be civil, but it's clear you're not interested. Just wait. Your day is approaching. You'll find yourself at the mercy of others when I'm through with you. As the door slammed shut behind them, I stood there, heart pounding in my chest. A fusion of anger, frustration, and determination fueled each breath. I recognized that this battle was far from its conclusion. In the subsequent solitude, a frantic sense of urgency enveloped me. I acknowledged the magnitude of my father's power and influence, surpassing my own. His connections and his willingness to bend the rules posed a formidable threat to my aspirations of retaining this house. I comprehended the uphill struggle ahead. It wasn't merely a fight for a physical space, but a confrontation against the injustices of a system favoring the privileged and well-connected. Nonetheless, I refused to capitulate. I vowed to fight relentlessly to protect the legacy my mother had bequeathed to me. The house symbolized more than bricks and mortar. It encapsulated the memories, love, and sacrifices she had made for us. It stood as a representation of my identity, signifying a journey toward freedom. With renewed determination, I drew in a deep breath, mentally preparing for the challenging path ahead. The fight for justice had only just commenced. Weeks had elapsed since the pivotal confrontation, yet the storm showed no signs of abating. Mark, unyielding in his pursuit of control, persisted in bombarding me with hateful messages and threats. Choosing to disregard these, acknowledging their venomous intent, I directed my focus toward gathering evidence. Every interaction was meticulously documented, and each word from his texts was preserved. These would serve as my ammunition and armor when I eventually brought the battle to the higher authorities. Embarking on a journey to the county clerk's office, I confronted the lion's den, the epicenter of corruption threatening to strip me of my inheritance. Undeterred by intimidation, I prepared to face the man holding the power to actualize my father's deceitful plan. Upon entering the county clerk's office, my heart pounded with a mix of anxiety and determination. Approaching the clerk's desk, I addressed a middle-aged man with tired eyes, seemingly unfazed by my presence. Politely, I requested a conversation about a matter of great importance. The county clerk regarded me with a blend of curiosity and skepticism, his gaze scrutinizing my appearance. "What can I do for you?" he inquired. Summoning every ounce of courage, I delved into my plea. Words poured out like a torrential downpour as I recounted the struggles my mother and I endured, the abandonment by Mark, his supposed golf buddy. I spoke of Mark's absence at my mother's funeral and presented the threats that continued to plague my existence, along with the fear that consumed me. As the county clerk listened, a change seemed to overcome his face. The mask of indifference dissolved, replaced by a genuine look of concern. "Please, sir," I implored, "I beg you to understand the truth. Mark has manipulated the situation, downplaying his role in our suffering. I know he's been trying to convince you to change the title deed, but I implore you to see through his deception and not allow him to take what rightfully belongs to me. I'm all alone, and I need all the help I can get." The county clerk's eyes softened, reflecting an unexpected glimmer of sympathy. Leaning back in his chair, he took a moment to absorb the gravity of my words. "I was completely unaware that I had a son around your age. I couldn't fathom the challenges you must be facing. Until recently, I did not know that the situation involving Mark was an authentic account. Mark always portrayed himself as the victim, asserting that you were a spoiled brat and that he intended to teach you a lesson. However, his words seemed dubious to me. Perhaps that's why I hesitated when he asked for my assistance. I had a sense that something was amiss, but the severity of the situation was beyond my anticipation. His words hit me like a bomb, confirming that my pleas hadn't fallen on deaf ears. At that moment, a flicker of hope emerged, a belief that justice could prevail. "I appreciate your attentive ear, sir. Your understanding means more to me than words can express. I only ask that you consider the reality behind Mark's carefully constructed facade." The county clerk nodded with a resolute expression. "Listen, I'll do what's right. I'm truly sorry for what you've endured. But if I help you, you must promise not to reveal anything about me. It's a favor for a friend. I like assisting my friends, even if it means bending the rules. If you disclose this, rest assured I will personally deal with it." Terrified, I gulped in the face of this stern warning. "Honestly, sir, I don't care if you're not strictly following the rules. I just want to ensure my house remains mine without my father's control or influence." "Consider it done. I've heard your story and you won't have to question the ownership of the house again," assured the county clerk. Leaving the clerk's office that day, a weight lifted from my shoulders. Although the battle was far from won, I clung to a glimmer of hope that justice would prevail. With the truth exposed, my chances of reclaiming what was rightfully mine grew stronger. Upon arriving at my father's house, it appeared practically empty through the large windows. All the once fancy furniture was gone, likely sold to prepare for the baby. After what felt like hours of ringing the doorbell, Mark finally opened the door, looking disheveled as if he hadn't slept or showered in days. My presence only worsened his mood. "What on earth do you want?" "Well, Mark, I came here to inform you that I am keeping the house. There's no way you're going to evict me, so you better cease your attempts. That's my house, I'm your father, and I say so. You're a cockroach, you're not my father." "Well, let's see what the county clerk has to say about all that. I told you I could get whatever I want." As I recounted the earlier events to him, Mark's face twisted more and more into shock and horror. His plan was unraveling as he promised to look into it, but I confidently presented the document's title deeds stamped with approvals and my signature, confirming the house was mine. I laughed, celebrating my hard-earned victory. Mark, defeated, stammered and tripped over his words. "Now I can't expose that bastard for wanting to help me out because I'll also get in trouble. Looks like you and Cynthia have a lot of house hunting to do. Actually, she's going to leave me." "What? Why? What happened?" "She saw that I wasn't getting your house fast enough. This morning she told me that if our names weren't on the title deed by the end of the week, she'd leave me. And now that you've told me all about this, she'll leave me for sure. Sucks to be you then. William, please let me live with you now. I can't be here anymore. Everything is too overwhelming. I haven't slept, I haven't eaten. Cynthia is driving me crazy with her ultimatums. I've been so stressed out since the friend that was supposed to help me wasn't responding to my messages, and after your stunt today. You're astonished. How could you be so self-centered? I explicitly communicated our struggles, expecting your support. Instead, you displayed utter hopelessness and inconsideration. It's outrageous how, despite your age, you act like a child. Don't assume I'll allow you to stay with me. You're in for a rude awakening. Check into a homeless shelter. They likely have available spaces. William, please. She's leaving me, taking everything. I desperately need a place to stay. I'm pleading with you. I don't care. You mean nothing to me. I hope you get what you deserve. You can't trample on people and expect it to go unnoticed. Ever heard of karma? It's catching up to you, Mark. I pray that God lets me witness your life falling apart. I didn't fully grasp the details of Cynthia divorcing Mark and taking a significant portion of his money. However, he visibly deteriorated, succumbing to alcohol addiction. It seems she drained him dry, leaving him in despair. Word got out about his cunning and corrupt nature, making him a social pariah. Although he's surviving in a hotel, contemplating his next move, one thing is certain. He'll never confront me with the same anger and entitlement. I'm no longer a kid, and I'm ready to fight for anything my mother left behind. If he's foolish enough to challenge me again, I'll ensure he remains grounded.